Hey, you've tuned into Math with Mr. C with 7 to least common multiple. Once you have your name and your date and the title, let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Please check your homework from 7-1. This time we did the practice side. Once you're done checking or correcting your answers, we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Let's zoom in on the example. Least common multiple. How can you find the least common multiple of two numbers? I remember least means lowest, common means like or similar, multiple. So we're multiplying of two numbers. Grant is making picnic lunches. He wants to buy as many juice bottles as applesauce cups, but no more than he really needs to get an equal number of each. How many packages of each should Grant buy? Let's get more information. Well, for each pack of juice bottles, there's 6, and then for applesauce, there's 8. And I see this as a word problem. How do we go about answering this? I see that he wants an equal number of each. Well, one way that we can do this would be that we could make a list of multiples of each pack size, 6 and 8. How did we get those numbers? Well, applesauce comes in packs of 8, and the juice comes in packs of 6. And then we're making multiples. How did we get these numbers? Well, I see that they are multiplying each number by something to make a list. So this is times 1, this is 6 times 2, this is 6 times 3, and so on. And so we're making this list. They have all the way up times 8, and they decided to stop at that moment. They did the same with 6. And I see that they have this in red, 24 in red, and they have 48 in green. And I'm asking myself, why do they have those colored? Well, they have the same number in each list, which means that both of them can multiply to 24, and both of them can multiply, or 48 is a multiple of both 6 and 8. Multiple, that's what we're trying to find. So we're trying to find the least common multiple. I'm thinking, is it 24 or 48? Well, both of those are common multiples of 6 and 8. Both of them can multiply to those numbers, but the least or lowest common multiple is 24. It's the common multiple with the least value, or the smallest. I'll give you a second to think about that. All right, scrolling down. So 6 times 4 is 24, so they should buy 4 packages of juice boxes. Meanwhile, 8 times 3 is 24, so they should buy 3 packages of applesauce cups. I see that as different due to the fact that there are more applesauce cups per package. There is a different way you can do this. I would think that most of us would like to do this list version that we just went over, making a list of multiples up there at the top, but there is another way you can do this. What's the other way? So another way would be to use prime factorization. Now, we learned about that before. Circle the greater number of times each different factor appears. I think this can be confusing about why we're doing this, so that's why I want to explain it with a clue word of America. So we made a factor tree. 2 times 3 is 6. We brought the factors over here. We made a factor tree here. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. I'm thinking, why are they circling this 3 and why are they circling this 2? Well, they circled the most in one list that 2 appears. I know that 2 appears 4 times, but they're just talking about in a specific list. 2 appears the most here, and 3, we have to circle that because there's no 3s over here. So then find the product of those circled factors. So 3 times 2, that's 6. 6 times 2, that's 12. 12 times 2, that's 24. Well, what does all this mean? Well, we found the same least common multiple. I see that over here, 24 was circled as the least common multiple, and here we used prime factorization. We found the same answer. We're going to practice both of those today, and you're going to need to kind of decide which one you like best. Do you like to make a list, or do you like to do prime factorization? You'll find out. Here are your vocab notes for today. Please write them down with your examples right here. And notice how I don't have them printed out. So just take your time, take about 3 minutes, write it down, and move on. We're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So here's example 1. In the first example, list multiples. We're going to make a list of multiples. 2, 6, and 8. We're going to find the least common multiple by making a list. So when I make a list, I like to not do more work than I need to. So I know that each box I'm going to multiply by a higher number. So I have 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. I like to make a box. It makes it more organized. I like it better than commas. And notice how I kind of stopped there at times 4. Then I'm going to go over to 10. 10 times 1, 20, 30, 40. If you choose this method, I would recommend, kind of going in steps. Do a few in your list, and then look, is there the same number in the top or the bottom? Because we're looking for the least common multiple. These are multiples of 6. These are multiples of 10. We're looking and we're asking, so far, do they have one that they can both multiply to? We don't, so we're going to make this go further. Alright, so now we extended our list further, and we do have a common number, a least common multiple. The lowest one that's the same. 10, there's not 10. 20, there's not 20. But we do have 30. Notice how they won't necessarily be right above each other, but just whatever's first. So I'm going to circle my least common multiple. And we just accurately used a list of multiples to find the least common multiple. Now, looking at number 2, we are going to use prime factorization. Alright, so here I have my tree that you should have in your notes. And I'm thinking, what do I do now? Alright, I took the numbers from over here and I put them in a list. And I took the numbers from over here and I put them in a list. So here I'm going to circle the one that has the most 2's. This one has 1, 2. This one has 1, 2, 3. I'm going to circle that. And then I see they both have a 3, so I'll just circle that as well. Now I'm going to multiply these numbers to find the least common multiple. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2, that's 8, times 3, that's 24, meaning that the least common multiple of 12 and 24 is 24. To check that, I'm asking myself, can 12 multiply to equal 24? Yes, 12 times 2 is 24. That would be the prime factorization method. Moving on to example 2 in 3, 2, 1. Here's example 2, and pay attention to the directions. I asked you to list of multiples to find the least common multiple here, and then use prime factorization to find the LCM over on this side. The answers are coming in 3, 2, 1. So for this one, making a list, I remember that I said to kind of only make 4 at a time and then go further if I need to. And I already see there's a number in top that is also on bottom, and that's 20. So my least common multiple is 20. They can both multiply to 20. That's the lowest number they both can multiply to. Now to show number 12. So here on number 12 we made factor trees and we listed out our prime factors. And I'm going to ask myself, which one has more 2's? This one has 1, 2, 3. This has 1. I'm going to circle the list that has the most 2's. There's the 2. Is there any number different than a 2? Oh, there's a 5. This one has the most 5's. It has one of them. So now I'm going to multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, and I will get my least common multiple of 8 and 10. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2, that's 8, times 5, that's 40. My least common multiple is 40. I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask myself, can 8 multiply to 40? Yes, 8 times 5. Can 10 multiply to 40? 10 times 4. That's correct. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's your independent or partners practice. 4 problems. Please do these how you would like to. Make a list or use prime factorization. The answers are coming in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go over specifically how to do 21 and 17 in 2 different ways just for more practice. So for 21, I went over prime factorization. That's the way I'm doing it for you right here. I made factor trees of 9, 18, and 24. And then I wrote out the prime numbers in a list. And now I'm thinking, how do I get the LCM, the least common multiple, from these? I'm looking, which one has the most 3's? I see 2 3's here, 2 3's, and this has 1 3. So I'm going to circle 2 3's. It doesn't matter which list I circle from, the 9 or the 18. And then 24 has 1, 2, 3 2's, and this one has 1. So I'm going to circle these 3 2's. So that's the most that they appear. So therefore, if I take 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, I should get my LCM. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 that's 8, times 3 that's 24, 24 times 3, 72. The LCM is 72 of 24, 18, and 9. Here, making the list up in 17, I've done 5 times 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so far I don't have any matching, so I'm going to go farther. Going 2 more numbers, I do have a match. I see 35 and I see 35. Therefore, I've found my least common multiple by making a list, and it is 35. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for watching this video. We've already gone over the answers, and so at this time, please choose 1, 2, or 3 for your option. And thank you for watching this. Please don't forget, you're awesome.